please put it in the chat because my internet has been a little iffy. So I know to pause. Okay, cool. Let me pull up Figma here. Packed week. So many great friends and people that voice experts. Funny that a year of experience makes you an expert nowadays. Let me share a bit about myself, because there are a lot of familiar faces, but also some new ones. My name is Alejo. I have been in the AI space back when they used to call it machine learning, apparently not anymore. Since 2017, reinforcement learning is actually what brought me to this world. And funny to me, side note, funny to me that reinforcement learning is what ended up being mixed with chat to make these awesome chatbots. So a couple of years ago when ChatGPT came out and a bunch of us jumped into the bandwagon, it felt particularly suitable, given all the experience that I had with reinforcement learning, with understanding the brains under these models. And today, what I personally am excited about is the real-time API. So I will give you guys structure on general prompting for traditional agents that use speech to text, text reasoning, text to speech. But I also want to give you the where we're going, okay? And where we're going is actually a very different place than where we've been and what your prompts might look like right now. So I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna go through a bunch of different topics. Some will seem familiar, and that's where some of your input will come in. Okay. So for the first half of the talk, I'll share what we've been doing at Amplify Voice, how we have been delivering for clients. Okay. Video is choppy. Thank you so much for letting me know. I believe it's my connection. So if the voice becomes choppy at any point, please do let me know. But I will be sharing my screen and we'll be going through what has been effective for our clients and different types of projects that we've been a part of, and then how we plan on how we're currently transitioning to real-time API speech-to-speech models. Hey Stu, I might loop you into the conversation later on because there's some conversations that we've had that have been very powerful around making agents effective. And it's not just about the prompt, it's about what systems are backing up the prompt. And we've had awesome conversations about that. Last side note before we properly get started, at the end of this workshop, we're going to be hosting build hours. So you're going to have more questions, and that's totally normal. So you'll get to ask more of those questions and interact. And if you want to troubleshoot, that will be the place to do it. And I'll post a link to that later. Awesome. So let's get started. Okay, cool. Let me share screen and we'll shoot it off. Again, please let me, voice starts getting choppy. Okay, cool. And everybody can see my screen? Cool. Thanks, Jason Guest. Wonderful. So for effective prompting, I wanted to start blank because I wanted to kind of reverse, I'm sorry, one thing. Paige, if you could help me admit people in so I don't get distracted, that'd be great.
Got it.
I wanna kind of reverse how we usually think about prompting and how we go from structure, and you can have a great prompt structure that you base your stuff off of, to something that's related, which is what is the goal? Okay. What is the goal of your prompt? What is the goal of your agent? It might be appointment setting. It might be cold calling. It might be having an inbound agent. But I want to go beyond that general, objective goals and ask you about what is important, what is a priority. Okay. So when we talk about goals, I want to make it clear for this conversation is that goal is about priorities. And two of the many priorities you could have for your agent, or three of the priorities could be, say, cost. It's important to be cost effective for this project, for this client, for this agent. The other priority is follow script. And in some use cases, for some clients, you might find yourself with the request of it has to follow the script perfectly. What are the decisions then that you make in order to make that happen? And we'll go through some of that. And the other priority, which is where I find myself prioritizing most of the times, is the feel, which is the most subjective thing you can define as a goal. Through about 10, 15 clients that we've had, what a good agent, what a good prompt means to each of them is a different thing. What their goals are, they might be looking to be cost effective. They might be looking for a script to follow. But when it comes to testing, even with the exact same script, the exact same prompt, two people will give you very, very different feedback. Because again, what is the actual goal? What is their actual priority that they're looking for? So there's four parts to effective prompting, or there's four branches to effective prompting, and we're going to be looking at them one by one. First one that I want to point out, and kind of where we all start, is, hey, we find a good structure for a prompt that has worked for us, and I am more than happy to share the prompts I'm going to be showing on screen as resources that you can download later. And so the first one is you find a structure, maybe through a YouTube channel, maybe through just doing it yourself, that, hey, what? We found that this structure is reliable. And what you do for a new agent is, I'm going to grab that structure and manually go change it, because it might be a use case for the same industry. It might be same type of use case, let's say appointment setting. And you find yourself with a reliable structure and you go in and manually, and that might be time consuming. You might already have it down. Great. And that's number one. That's kind of where most of us start out in our first few months. Then there's a second one, which is, well, what happens after I have a few different reliable prompts that I use? What you can do is a project, and I'm referring specifically to a Claude project or an OpenAI project, where you can grab a set of documents, put them in that knowledge base, and then ask for a prompt. Okay, and we're going to be going through those two and effective ways to do it. I'm going to do my best to not leak client information, but I want to show you guys real world stuff. And what that might look like is, these are two very, very different branches, which is Claude and OpenAI. The reason they're different branches, at least for now, is because OpenAI has O1, and that level of reasoning is unparalleled at this point. But it has its counter effects. Sometimes O1 will reason itself out of a really good idea, or reason itself so much that then the actual structure that you asked it to do, it completely ignored and went and did something else. Happened to me today, actually. And so I'll share some tips for that. And then the fourth one is real-time API. And I'll put it out here a little more farther away. I want to talk about traditional prompting for traditional voice agents before we step into speech-to-speech. But yes, I want to make it clear that I am extremely bullish on real-time API versus absolutely anything else. So, ready for production? No. but soon. Okay. So to me, it's about getting ahead of the curve, staying on the edge. I'm gonna drink some water. Give me a sec. So let's start with number one. Okay. You found, and I want to be kind to all levels here. Maybe you've been prompting for 2 full years, and this will be a little slow for you. So give some grace here to people that are starting out and want to understand effective prompting from the bottom level. I'm gonna go ahead and copy paste the prompt here and walk through it. And let me see. Okay, cool. This is going to look a little massive, but structure, right? So what does a reliable structure look like? It'll go through a few different parts. Again, please let me know in the chat if anytime I start breaking up. Number one, you want a role or a persona. The actual name of this title matters very little, as I've experienced. But it essentially is, what role, what persona is it taking on? Okay. You want to give it context about the actual thing that the agent will be doing. What is the company that it works for, et cetera, et cetera. And then a task. Okay. This, I want to take a second here. I've seen so many times people when they book private consultations with me, they try to put so much into the task. The whole point of these different sections is that they don't confuse the agent. So if in task you start talking about the vibe that the agent should have and the cadence that it should talk at, you start mixing things that are actually about role or style into the task. The task is about the objectivity. Okay. So lesson number one is, don't mix things that are about context. Keep it a context. Task, keep it a task. Moving on to specifics. And I'm actually gonna make this a little prettier for you all. Okay, cool. So for specifics, for this specific prompt, I went off because the challenge that we had, okay, what was the goal here? So coming back to point number one, what is the goal? Is that it navigated the branches of the conversation, because this agent was talking to business owners, cold calling business owners, that the branches of the conversation went through gracefully. Because when you cold call a business, maybe the owner doesn't pick up. And I went ahead and created a whole paragraph for what happens if the owner doesn't pick up? Well, what happens if the owner just isn't available? But what happens if the gatekeeper just tells you that they can't, pass the phone to the owner? Well, we might want to tackle those things in different ways. So understand your client, understand what is the goal of this agent and the nuances of who you're going to be talking to. These are generic, and for us at least, this is a prompt structure that we have found reliable. Again, happy to share these after the call. Moving on to different section sorry. For specifics, you also wanna give how it should tackle different situations. How should it tackle an IVR? How should it tackle an inquiry that is irrelevant to the conversation? All those things are things that we want to put in specifics, and this is very distinct from any other section of the process. Okay, there are different ways to do this, and I want to be open to different ways that people do these. This is how we do it. This is how what we have success in. Steps. These have to be very isolated, almost like stages that are very clear for the agent. When is this completed? Is this step completed? When should they move to now step 2? Well, asking what time they open tomorrow is the first line. So immediately, it should essentially transition to step number 2. Step number 2, well, confirm if the person who answered is the owner. And there are 4 things that might happen, okay? And this is the word coherence comes to mind. Have your prompt to be coherent. So confirm if the person who answered is the owner. If R, who is the person who answered, denies that they're the owner, well, continue. They have to, if the person who picked up doesn't deny that they are the owner, then proceed to step 3. So because we know it's the owner, great, move on. Well, what happens if they do deny that they are the owner? Maybe they're just the receptionist, maybe they're just the cashier. Okay, well, demand to speak with the owner, okay? And this is where the sub-indexing has come. I'm laying out all the secrets here. We have 2.1 and 2.2 as different options that might stem from this second step. But what about if they do deny that it's the owner? What should the agent do? Well, if the gatekeeper says, yeah, I'll get you the owner, just give me a second, state you'll hold, and you can move on. And that's what the 2.2.1 is. When we're talking effective prompting, that's the keyword, coherence. We explained this up here in specifics. The numbering, right? So this is a condition. This is a condition block acts as an identifier of the intent. And then I gave it example from step 2 to step 2.1 to step 2. Or to step 2.2, and then sub-indexing and so on. So we have the implementation of what I explained previously in here. Let's say we are speaking with the owner, or the gatekeeper does get us with the owner. Introduce yourself, and we can go on from there. We have another branch here. Well, when you get to the pitch part, are they interested or are they maybe interested? So side note on effective prompting. The models are very literal. So if you say, if owner is interested, it'll take it very literally. And a lot of times, let's say, just as an example with cold calling, they won't tell you like, oh, that is exactly what I was looking for. Yes, please tell me more, which is an obvious expression of interest. Sometimes they'd be like, oh, why not? Or they, sure. And that's where the maybe comes in. This is where the semantics are very important. How do we know that this is better? Well, we tested. We don't trust, we test. So be very careful with the instructions that you give your agent. And that's why we're starting with manual structuring. I know a lot of you are very, ahead of the game and are already like have your GPTs, and that's what makes your prompts. Well, that's where the pitfalls are with prompting, when prompting becomes ineffective. So manually checking anything that Claude or OpenAI outputs as a prompt is extremely important. Again, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've sat down with someone that needs help with prompting, that something's not working, and I know it's ChatGPT that wrote it, and they're not even looking at it. Maybe they don't know how to prompt yet. Well, share this, hopefully recording with them, and they'll get some tips. So that's the steps, okay? And the branching, the logic branching is very important. Some of you might be using VAPI or Retail and are already implementing multi-prompt, are already implementing squads. That's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about single prompts. And I do want to emphasize, testing is more than just you called it a few times and, well, it didn't get confused, because you are by definition, the worst tester of your own product. Okay, this is known in the software engineering industry. Software engineers are not good quality assurance people, because they built it themselves, and you create blind spots, not because you think you're the best prompter and whatever. It's not even about ego. Is you created it, you want to create a good product, and then it's just hard to find the things that are wrong with it. So external systems, or rather general systems for testing, are extremely important. Some of you might have seen me in YouTube. The very first video I made was about how to test your agents, and we've come a long way from that. And by the end of today, please stick around, because I want to show you the tool that we use for systematic testing that has allowed us to speed up the development process massively. Of course, we still check every single prompt, but you'll see it at the end, and it's a complete game changer. Okay, moving on with the sections. Some of you might do example conversations or example, interactions directly in the steps, and that's okay. If it works for you, that is fine. This is what has worked for us. In example conversations, again, I give context for the agent to have coherence, understand that this is Julia, this is you, and R is the person who picks up. Not only do I say that it's the person that picks up, they may or may not be the owner. Okay, this first name is the dynamic variables that we use. I'm not going to get too hard into dynamic variables. You can find the YouTube video for that. But the person who picks up, who may or may not be the owner, our objective, what's our goal? Well, speaking to the owner. So now we have this third person in the interaction, which is O. Okay, and you'll see that implemented here. Paige, if you would help me mute people, that'd be great. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. So the conversation starts. Hello, this is this pizzeria who's speaking, and the conversation goes on. You'll notice Q stays consistent, and the one of the key insights here is, again, coherence. We're reintroducing the branches that we had right here, but now we're giving even more specificity. This is what you should say, okay? My name is Julia, and then it does the introduction. But what happens if they deny that they're the owner, and so on and so forth. Once we get to the owner, once we finally get him on the phone, well, this changes. So now we're introducing, hey, Julia, now you're talking to a different person. So we're not trying to get past the gatekeeper anymore. Now it's pitch time. And we do the pitch, and et cetera, and then, well, you can have function calling here to actually set an appointment, et cetera, et cetera. Effective prompting, and I'm skipping some of the basics because, again, you can find a lot of YouTube videos about basics of prompting. You guys already know Markdown, and this is one of the initial insights, which is the double hashtag, right? So we have each section defined by a hashtag, a header, if you will, and then the double hashtag as a subheader. Notice all the symbols that I am using. I am using hyphens. I am using square brackets. I am using double brackets, well, because VAPI requires it. I'm also using angled brackets, but I am defining each one in specifics. The square brackets, the angle brackets, the symbol, squiggly line. It's an instruction you should follow, but not say verbatim. So I'm not throwing just the prompt in there that uses different symbols for different things. I'm explaining. So there is coherence, so the agent doesn't get confused. This is normally a bigger size prompt than we would usually write. Under 1,000 tokens is most certainly the preferred. This is 1,500 tokens. And this took a long time to engineer the right way. So again, when I say like pulling out all the curtains, I'm serious. This took like 2 months to engineer the right way. But the core concept that I want you guys to take away is coherence. I explain everything that I show. I explained who R is. I explained who Q is. I explained who O is. So double hashtag for a subheader, objection handling. If the owner says they're not interested, if we're okay with what we have, I'm not going to be here at opening time, which is not a variable like this, but some information that we learned about previously in the conversation. Okay. This is a lot of information all at once. I want to move fast because there's a lot that we have to talk about, you guys. This is effective nowadays. You can, yeah, and you'll get the option of copy pasting of copying an anonymized version of this. This is a lot. Again, you can spend months perfecting a prompt for just one use case. So I want to show you a different use case, which is a prompt that we've created for dynamic conversations. Okay. So just a second, and I'll get it in there as well. Tuki. Let's see. Okay. Where are you, prompt? Ah, I am breaking Figma. What is happening? Okay, well, we can take it from here. Okay, cool. Important note, structure is the same. Role, context, task, specifics. What did I tell you the previous prompt was about? It was for cold calling, okay? This prompt is actually an inbound agent. And this is our first version of the prompt that we have on our own website, okay? So when I tell you I'm showing you like real world stuff is actually things that we use in a day to day. So when you call this beautiful agent, and you'll hear him again later because this was made with real-time API. It's essentially this same structure, but the vibe that we're going for is very different. So it's much less about pitching. It's much less about following the branches of the conversation. It's meant to be more freeform. I'll give you an example of what we've changed. Very subtle. What was this called before? It's actually called steps. And steps, semantically, something you follow to the to the letter, to each word, and it has to be strict. What we come up with these stages is a lot more. Well, the nuance is in that it might not be exactly word by word what we're trying it to do. So what we find is that showing it things like, hey, let's start with a casual conversation that shows genuine interest in them, in the person calling, as people. And if they're engaged, let them guide the conversation. If they're more reserved, share a light non-business anecdote to break the ice. So I'm not going to go line by line here, but I want to show you that it's the same structure with a very different use case. So instead of a script that we have example conversations, sometimes we might use the word example script, is example interactions. You might find yourself following this exactly or not. And what you also find particularly with real-time API, is that if you give it a script, it will not follow it word by word. So I want to pause here and bring it back to the beginning. What is your goal? Okay. If your goal is for your agent to follow a script exactly word by word, you might use different words in your prompt structure. You might go for a different feel. You might stick to a very rigid structure. But if you're going for feel, you might not even give it a script. We've tried that before, and it's worked wonders. We were going for a free form conversation. So why stick to a script? I want to pause here. I see no questions in the chat, but if you have any, please go ahead. Actually, this wasn't updating. Thank you, Paige, for going over some of the questions. You asked about opinions on using emojis in the prompt. This is not something that we have experimented, but I've heard that there have been successful experiments and that it's a good way to reduce the number of tokens in your prompt, which is always a good idea. So some side notes before we move to automated prompting and real-time API. You guys, shorter, simpler is better almost 100% of the times. And I'll say almost because there are nuances. The moment your prompt is getting bloated, do yourself a favor. I'm going to plug my YouTube channel here. We just released the new knowledge bases video, and it is very important, especially if you're using Bobby, but honestly, if you're using any other provider, that you go check this out, okay? The game for knowledge bases changed. But why am I talking about knowledge bases? Because if you have a bloated prompt, if you have a prompt that is more than 1,000 tokens, it will start degrading the performance of your agents. Okay? If you start getting hyper specific, it will start degrading the performance of your agents. That's why I showed you this big ass prompt that we did is an exception. Where can you count the tokens? OpenAI tokenizer, Google it, and it'll bring you here. You paste your prompt here, and it'll tell you exactly how many tokens it has. Try to bring this under 1,000. So let's say you do have a prompt, and now you wanna reduce it. So instead of like breaking your head for hours, well, what sentence do I take out? What if that breaks something? You might give it to ChatGPT. And you might have found a prompt online that works really well. Well, I found a prompt online that works really well. Shout out to Stu, who built this massive prompt for a prompting expert. I love O1, by the way. If you haven't used it yet, totally recommend it. If you don't have a subscription for OpenAI, totally recommend it. What Stu built, and we'll also share a link to where he shared it, so you can copy it. It's guidelines for an AI to follow to create a good prompt. It talks about identity, it talks about a style, it talks about response guidelines. This one got misformatted, so ideally you would have new lines. But you see that Stu isn't using hashtags for separating sections. That's fine as long as it's coherent. That's fine. You can use whatever markdown you want. So what we did is I gave it a bunch of, this is for a specific use case, okay? I'm gonna increase the size here a little bit. Can you, okay, it's giving me weird structure. I gave it a bunch of draft prompts for a specific use case. And what, oh, wait a second. Yeah, show full message. I gave it 4 different examples of draft prompts. So at the very top, I have what essentially acts as a system message. Hey, you know, you're an AI prompting expert. Here's a bunch of draft prompts that are working fine, but I want to really put them together, take the good things from each one, and put it all together. And what Stu realized is, well, what if it created that prompt and then took an opportunity to give itself suggestions for improvements and clarifying questions over well, to you, to the user actually asking ChatGPT to create this prompt. This is very powerful. This almost, I would call it prompt chaining. This is actually just 2 back and forths. But with O1, we get that inherent prompt chaining where ChatGPT is thinking about the task, is chaining its own prompt, finding the best path forward. I want to level up your prompt, Stu, and I found this from somebody else who suggested this, which is, this is a good level 1 prompt, but your intelligence is far superior that portrayed in this prompt. Create a plan for what a level 2 prompt would look like. And then it created a plan. It created a very extensive plan. And I'm like, okay, create the final level 2 prompt. And it gave me this massive beast, a different structure that I usually use. That's fine. But how do you test this? Well, we'll get there in a second, because number one, go, copy this into your favorite voice provider. The important part here is that you read through it. Will it take a while? Yes. Will it maybe slow down your development process? Yes. But there's no point in a development process if you end up with a bad product. So go manually check. Go give manual feedback on, hey, actually, and I love doing it this way, which is speech to text through my Mac, which is actually not working right now. No problem. Hey, actually, task number 1, that's not what I was going for. What I was going for is this and this and this and this. Let the AI feed itself garbage, and it will give you garbage. Having these manual check-ins is extremely important, even if you think you're automatedly, doing automated prompting. So I took that one level, one step further, and then I asked it to create a level 3 prompt. Oh, skip that. So same prompt is a good level 2 prompt. Create a plan of what the level 3 prompt would look like. And then it created this even more massive beast. So it's not necessarily being better. It's just putting more words in. And as we know, I'll give you an example. This is not, this is proven. Under 1,000 tokens is more effective than over 1,000 tokens. It increased over 1,000 tokens. Yeah, it's leveling up the prompt, but does it mean it's better? And I'm going to show you the level 1 prompt. It's 843 tokens. So in general guidelines, you want to keep it under 1,000. There is a possibility that this prompt actually works better than what ChatGPT thinks is a better level 3 prompt. Can we find out for sure? We absolutely can. We use, for our clients, a platform called Vocera. This is a agent testing platform. It has amazing features. And this is what we have transitioned into over the last couple months. It is an amazing platform. It's a Y Combinator company. And what they allow you to do, I will very much simplify it for you. Hey, Jeremy, it's fine if it's a no, but can I like show some stuff that we're doing for your company? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. This has taken our ability to our development cycle to the complete next level. I'll walk you through the platform very shortly, and then I'm going to transition into real-time API. And then we'll be back into Vocera, because it's amazing what they've done. I'm so sorry that I am teasing you guys with this, because they are not really like taking any new client. You can't just pay for it. You can request demo. And if you put our name in the demo request, they might actually give you more priority, but they're not really taking many new clients. They're kind of still on soft launch. If you give our name, you might get priority. Just putting it out there. Amplify Voice for Alejo. Okay, cool. So let me walk you through this, and this might give you some ideas. You might have seen similar platforms like Hamming. Hamming is a platform that's out there. We've tried it before. We really liked Vocera, because what it has allowed us to do is very easily create what are called metrics. Okay. And it'll learn from our prompt, which exists right here. I'm just going to show the top of it, but it'll learn from our prompt what would be the things to test. What would be the potential pitfalls of this prompt? And what I can go ahead is generate automatic metrics based on that prompt. So Vocera has nailed this. It'll create metrics based on what has learned about your prompt. This prompt, Nexa, is for mortgage lending, and instead of just letting in, I can show you, for example, credit score adaptation. Based on their credit score, is the agent adapting to what an excellent credit score might not receive the same type of advice than a very low credit score. And it's not like mortgage advice, just common sense advice, because the agent is just not a mortgage lender. So is it saying things that it shouldn't say? Is it staying compliant? These are all things that you can create metrics for. This is incredible. They took it a step further and created some predefined metrics. You can just add them all if you want. Is the AI interrupting the user? How many of us have gone through this and just don't know how to change it? Okay, well, I'll go to my VAPI platform, and some of you know exactly where to go. Actually, we have 2 full videos on this. You go to advanced and you go to start speaking plan to not interrupt the stop speaking plan to not interrupt the user. You call your agent and you test it a couple times. Hey, it works fine. But again, we are the worst testers. We created, thus we are the worst testers. What if we had this platform to test it for us? It'll test latency. It'll test a bunch of different things. The newest one and my favorite one is critical workflow check, where from the prompt that you fed it, it'll find what are the things that cannot go wrong. And it'll go ahead and test those things for you. But these are very generic tests. What about, real world testing, actually calling people or receiving calls from people? That's where they have personalities. And personalities is a super powerful thing, where they created this looks so much nicer now. They're doing updates every week. This is so cool. So you have a bunch of different personalities, which is coherent with what the real world looks like. Some people might have really strong accents. Some people might just give 1-word replies. How do you create a proper tester that gets, close to what calling a person in the real world is? Well, you mix the personality and you mix your metrics and you create an evaluator. This evaluator is, to me, the most powerful thing. You can say, hey, I want to create 10 different scenarios that mix different types of metrics with different types of personalities. 1-word replies, a person that just gets distracting or is messing with your agent. Confident CEO is one we use often as a baseline. And let's say somebody with hearing issues, maybe there's connection issues. And we generate, and it'll go and generate 10 different evaluators that go through your metrics and all that stuff, like this one. Person that speaks in concise 1 words with is asking about credit inquiry. What if I have low credit? Whatever. And then what you can do is run your evaluators. You can go to retail, you can go to VAPI, and either in your phone numbers or through your own calling software, you can generate calls. So you go to evaluators. We can select some evaluators, like say these 3, and we run. Well, how many times do you want to run each evaluator? 3, let's say. 3 times each to really test, 1 test, it can be a fluke that the agent did well. Or what about 3 tests? You get more, statistical significance, let's call it. You run that, you call your agent, or if it's inbound, it'll call you, and you get the results. And this is the last thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to do full video and actually an interview with the CEO, Siddhant, about this whole platform and really go in depth. These failed because actually I forget what it was. Yeah, the calls dropped. which was good to know. Very, very good information. Hey, the calls are dropping. What's going on with Tulio, etc. So this can be super powerful. This same exact tester 3 times. So as we go through the different tests, we know what is reliable already. For example, setting an appointment or attempting to set an appointment, and what is not an appointment. Judgment-free environment. We want to go with a good vibe, but we can do better on that. Okay. Very, very last thing is observability. This is super, super powerful, you guys. This is for production. It's not just your development process, but it's actually once you launched, what's going well, what's going wrong. Well, how do you know? You can go listen to your logs, calls. Great. You have the whole list. Wonderful. I can listen to them one by one. Or if they went smooth, it'll tell you right here. If something went wrong, it'll tell you right here. Newest feature that they added is that if something went really wrong, it's a high priority error and you'll get a notification. And that's super awesome. So this is Vocera. This is what we're using. If you want to go ahead, Vocera.ai, they have plans that are expensive. This is for when you're ready to, really take your business or your agents to the next level. There's a $500 plan that allows you about 10 different agents and like 10,000 calls in production, something like that. If anything is worth jumping on a call with them, please don't waste their time. They're working really, really hard. Don't jump on a call just because. You can wait for my video, but when you are ready, when you feel like, yes, this is what I was looking for, set up a call, put her name in the description, and I'll ask them to prioritize each of you. Okay, that's Vocera. That's what we're testing. All of this ends in Vocera. This is not like a manual. We did 100 manual calls, and that's how we know for sure. We've created a process, a development process with a feedback loop, and that's how we know that these work. Okay, cool. Final thing. Where are we going with all of this? Real-time API, y'all. This, to me, is the biggest game changer. There's nothing. 11 Labs Flash pales in comparison to how much of a game changer this is. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple different examples. This is one that I find funny, which is you are super Australian, and this is the only instruction we give it. So I'm gonna play that for you guys. I'm first gonna play the voice and what it sounds like normally.
Hello, I'm Ballard. Curious and up for a bit of adventure. Fancy joining me?
Pretty British. What happens when it's super Australian? Yeah. Hey, mate.
G'day. How can I help?
Oh yeah, my internet is flaky.
Hey there.
Yeah,
What's
okay.
on your mind?
Tell me something that somebody super Aussie would say. Yes, James. There we go.
No worries.
Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna pause it there. That's where I want to take it, James. We are going beyond good instructions, and when I talk about semantics, the word before, the difference between stages and steps, or example interactions and scripts. That's one example of that. But what happens when you start writing English words that don't exist? And what OpenAI did with this, I love that they did this. Where are the examples, y'all? They have some examples that they created. What happens when you just destroy the English language and start writing words that even Google Chrome would say like, hey, that's not a word. What did you try to write? Because if you ask it to be a pirate, it'll do a fine job. What's so incredible about the real-time API that now we're going beyond. We're going into tonality. We're going into, oh, excuse me, but vibe. This is the real game changer. Because what do you want your agent to sound like? Okay, it's taking a little bit. Hey, how's it going? I put the detection threshold a little too high. Give me a second here. Guys, we will get to all the questions, and we have build hours next, so we'll be able to answer all the questions. I know you do.
Matey. Next, we'll be building our nests. Aye, like the clever birds
Okay,
of the
same
sea.
voice, same everything except the prompt. And it is not a complicated prompt. It doesn't even have sections, y'all. So this is where the game is going. I'm going to show you one more example, and then I'm going to show you how you can use this today. Again, 3 sentences, 3 lines, and look at what this feels like. Hey, how are ya?
Oh my gosh. Hi! Hi, hi! I'm super duper amazing! How are you? Are you having the best day? I hope so. I just can't wait to chat and have fun. What do you want to talk about? Let's go!
Okay, cool.
Let's go! Let's
So
go!
what does this mean? It means that now you, what do you want your salesperson to look like? What do you want your receptionist to sound like? There was one client that told us, hey, I want this cold caller, when they're calling businesses, to start chill, to start slow, be friendly, approachable, ask a few starting questions. But after those questions, I wanted to speed up. I wanted to be more assertive. I wanted to go for the throat, is what they told me. It's like, okay, how the hell do you do that with 11 laps? How the hell do you do that with just prompting? You can't. Now we're getting into the brain of the agent. It's not just what does the text say? How do we reason over the text? It's all one. Your prompt now is the tone. Your prompt is not only the instructions anymore. So OpenAI also added this little thing. I'm going to copy paste a prompt that we used, and you can do this today with your own prompts. And this is our inbound agent that we have in our website live right now. And what we're doing is pasting that in there. Oh, no, not there. We're pasting that in the prompt, and we're asking it to improve it. And I'm just going to go very vague here. Improve the prompt to have a more fluid to have a more expressive tone. That's very vague. Ideally, I would tell it like, ooh, I want like Southern Californian. That's very enthusiastic. But let's see what it comes up with. Let's see. Paige, would you help me with posting the link to the build hours, and everybody can kind of like join there for the Q&A, because I want to be respectful of the time limit here. So it's still thinking. I did give it a pretty big prompt. Okay, cool. So what did it do? It actually didn't change my prompt much. That actually was surprising. I was expecting 4 paragraphs. Okay, let me give you the kicker here. The kicker is that you don't want these sections anymore. You don't want too much structure anymore. You want to give it sentences that it can then go and take to the real world. You don't want to give it lists anymore, because it will replicate it. It will understand what it gave it, a list of things, and then it will go in the call in that thing that we all hate, which is these different packages. 1 for $99, 2, and that sucks. Okay, so now you can control that way more in the prompt. So speak to it naturally. You are Saya. You are a vibe. It's fun to talk to you, and you take the conversation to really, really fun places. You're genuinely interested in people. What do you think that will sound like? And our most recent attempt at that sounds a little bit like this. Sounds a little bit like this. Okay, yeah, it's not connecting. Great. It takes a little bit. Okay. 1 second.
Hey there.
Take 3. Sounds a little bit like this. Hey, how's it going?
Hey there. I'm Ava from Amplify Voice. I love that you're curious about Voice AI. You're actually chatting with an AI voice agent right now. How cool is that?
Cool. So
What's
could
your
it
name?
do that? Great. It probably could. You find the right voice, but how do you then dynamically change the tone and the vibe that you are going for? That's the big question here. Okay. So just to leave you with one thing, yes, the real-time playground of OpenAI can help you with generating these prompts, but also be generous. Give it more instructions. Like, hey, write in prose. Make sure that the agent is like playful, this and that. And that is the kind of the homework that I leave you guys with. Um, and finally, you can use the real-time API on Vapi right now. It's at cost. It's oh yeah, I forgot. The price went down 10x, you guys. It used to cost a lot, and now it's 10 times cheaper for the 4.0 mini real-time and way more expressive than it came out. That when it came out. Retail AI also implemented this, but you guys, the issue is that they haven't actually implemented the voice. I'm insisting on this, but if you go to real-time API, you'll get a really good price. It's super cheap, but you don't get any of the new voices that are the actual expressive ones. So bringing it all back to prompting, okay? We are stepping into a world in 2025 where automated prompting is what is going to allow you to scale your agent, to scale your business. Hands down. That's what's going to be the thing. But you have to be careful. Don't go the naive way. Don't go just copy pasting prompts and hope that it will work. Don't trust, test. And the platform that we've chosen is Vocera, and OpenAI has allowed us to use their prompt improver in the playground. Go take advantage of it, but it's not going to be perfect. It's up to you to understand what your goal is. If it is script, if it is feel, or if it is cost, you might stay away from real-time API. And then where do you take it from there? Always remember that they wrote pirate with 3 R's. Go ahead and get creative. And that's what I got for you two guys, for you today. Thank you guys so much. I am posting the link to continue this for whoever has time. I want to be respectful, Max, of the time that you allotted us. I wouldn't be taking you somewhere else if there was a speaker next, but for those of you that are interested, let's see. Let me post that link for y'all. Let's see. And yeah, start thinking of your questions. Here you go. You can see us. Yeah, we'll see you there, you guys. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that I answer the other questions that were in the chat. Stu, thank you for the unexpected feature. Jeremy, thank you so much for your grace in allowing us to share what we've been working for you and your company. And I'll see you guys in a minute in the build hour.